One of the most commonly asked questions we get is, if you're having a bad day, how do I balance that out? And there's a few methods we can use to do it. And let's understand what a bad day is. This is flexible eating. We don't need you to be perfect every single day. Now, the more often you're perfect, the more likely you are to achieve success. And our goal is that you're within 5 for your protein, carbs, and fat, within 5 grams of each on a daily basis. But that's not always life. So some days you just have bad days, move on, right? Always be tracking, as Roz says, but move on. It's okay. Leave it in the past. But there are days where you're off. And typically what that looks like is somebody brought something into work. Susie brought in cupcakes again. You went out to a restaurant and you weren't sure what you're gonna have, and you wind up overdoing your carbs or your fat. So let's use one of those as an example, and I'll explain to you how you can balance it. You go out to eat, and your carbs are, let's say, 150 grams, and you realize that you're at 200 grams, meaning you're over 50 grams of carbohydrates. So what can we do? Well, we can balance that by eating less fat for the day. So an easy method to do this would simply be chase your caloric intake for that day. So for example, that same person that has 150 grams of carbs, say they get 1,500 calories, cool. Eat to 1,500 calories today. That's how to balance at a very, very simple level. Now what that means is you might underdo your protein and your fat to compensate for those carbs, which isn't terrible. It's one day. Remember, you can move on, do your best, get to tomorrow. However, we always encourage you to hit your protein. So what you would try to do now is, since you're over your carbs, be under your fat. Here's some science for you. There's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. There's 4 calories per gram of protein. So those balance out equally. But fat has 9 calories per gram. So what that means is, for every 2 grams you're over on carbs, you should be about 1 gram under your fat. So you're over 50 grams of carbs, we should be under 25 grams of fat. It's not a perfect balance because remember, it's 9 and 4, but for our purposes, it's close enough. And you can just work it the opposite way. You go over your fat by 10 grams, you need to balance out with 20 grams of carbohydrates. So again, 2 methods, actually 3. Method number 1, move on, all good. Method number 2, balance out your calories at the end of the day. And method number 3 would be to balance out with only carbohydrates and fat. Remember, there's 4 calories per gram of carb, 9 calories per gram of fat. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always post in the Own Your Eating tribe, or reach out to your coach, or reach out to us via email or social media, and we're happy to answer your question. But hopefully that helped you balancing out a bad day.